Is this video footage from a Diddy freak off? Probably. That's a lot of weird white stuff flying around there, as of course we have day 2 of the Diddy trial that is really going off in very weird directions, as a lot of people are saying the prosecutors aren't really making a good case here at all here, as of course we had their testimony that is still going on for one of their key witnesses in this entire trial that wouldn't have begun if it wasn't for her willing to testify. There's other people missing. There's other celebrities being named here. What's really going on here? We'll delve into day 2 of the Diddy trial update, which I think deserves a lot of our attention, since a lot of people are glued to this situation because of the celebrities that are involved here and the salacious, kind of very personal, weird, debaucherous kind of behavior tied into all of this. But there probably is a larger trafficking and extortion operation that was run by the government that probably is being covered up right now. That's also happening right now. We'll get into it. We'll get into all of it. Don't worry. Look at that. What in the world is going on here? That probably... If that was a really Diddy party, it would have been yellow. Why? Well, that's the latest details that Casey Ventura is giving us. This is the former girlfriend of P. Diddy that, by the way, personally decided to sue him. Diddy made sure to settle out of court with her, and this case by the federal prosecutors wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her, according to many legal experts, as the prosecutors are trying to get as many victims and witnesses to come forward. This is one of their main ones. Victim number 3, by the way, went missing. We still haven't gotten an update to why that person is no longer going to be testifying, whether they got cold feet, whether they got threatened, whether they got bought off. We don't know what's going on here. But Casey Ventura now also is pregnant with a different baby daddy, as she asked her husband to leave the courtroom as she was testifying to some of the very kind of eye-opening, salacious, debaucherous, just naughty type of behavior that the sickest of minds could only think of, as Casey Ventura shocked the courtroom by naming insiders that help arranged the freak-off party, specifically talking about how she was going through a lot of this when she was at a very young age. But she specifically named Diddy's assistant and other employees that, quote, imposed his will. They also talked about particular incidences where she was not happy about Diddy being with other women. She decided to be with another guy. Diddy then, of course, got his gang around with firearms and other defensive tools. And the case kind of is described here as Diddy allegedly controlled her, according to the testimony here, and, quote, imposed his will on her. There's, a lot of explosive testimony. We'll get into some of the more kind of eye-opening type of scenario here. But Casey was also quizzed over, of course, the copious amounts of alleged drugs that were used here, as prosecutors continued to grill the singer about how narcotics allegedly were used during these freak-off parties, how they were obtained, and how Diddy's drug dealer actually has been charged himself in criminal cases against him that are also ongoing. Now, the defense is saying that Casey made choices for herself and that she wasn't coerced or forced, that she was, quote, a capable, strong adult woman that knew what she was doing here and decided to be in a relationship with Diddy for an extremely long time. The defense said, quote, these adults, capable women, will have to take on the same level of responsibility as Combs, Diddy's lawyers said in opening statements. When any person makes an adult choice, that is a free choice. A free choice has pros, it has cons. They made free choices every single day for years, describing how Casey was with Diddy for an extremely long time. The jury was also shown the video of Diddy assaulting Casey in the 2016 infamous hotel video that Casey described specifically was also a part of a freak-off, drug-fueled type of party that they were participating in. Now, she described how drugs were a part of every single freak-off. That's a lot of substances there, as there's also Diddy's former security guard that says that GHB was being used and utilized here. Now, we're getting minute-by-minute details here. But again, she describes this 2016 hotel altercation as something that started as, quote, a freak-off. She was asked to describe what a freak-off was, and she described a situation where Diddy would hire people from multiple states. This is the important aspect here because this is with the trafficking charge that Diddy is facing here. But is this enough? Hiring adult stars, is that really deemed trafficking because he bought them in different states? Was there some interstate commerce that happened here that allegedly now makes this a bigger case here? Well, a lot of people are still left kind of here trying to understand all of this, as it looks like from all of the things that we're seeing, Diddy has a big possibility of getting off here. We'll get into that and a lot more. Before we do, we wanted to tell you about LukeUnfiltered.com. If you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? It's quick, it's easy, it's simple. And if you haven't signed up yet, what are you doing? Very easily, click the link down in the description. Click here. Make sure to check your spam box when you do sign up here, because when you do sign up, it, of course, allows you to get access to 13 plus years of videos, 3 masterclasses, and we are going to be doing an in real life meetup at the Bitcoin conference coming up in just a few days from now in Las Vegas, Nevada. This Bitcoin conference is pretty awesome. They always put out all the stops here, and they do an incredible job when it comes to, of course, putting on events. I'm super excited to be there, and you could use code WRC for 10% off of your Bitcoin Las Vegas conference tickets. Again, code WRC. I will be there, and I, of course, will be meeting with a lot of you guys who are just members of course, LukeUnfiltered.com. May 27th to May 29th, JD Vance is going to be there. We have, of course, the one and only Ross Ulbricht, who also will be participating. It's going to be a great event that a lot of people are going to be a part of. Price increases in 3 days. Use promo code WRC, 10% off. And then we're going to do a meetup for LukeUnfiltered.com members there at the conference. You won't be needing a ticket for that. We'll hang out and do some really cool things. Like we'll do maybe like a little hangout or cigar smoke. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. Now, let's get into some of the more kind of eye-opening salacious details here, as there's, talks about ecstasy being used here for these freak-offs. A specific version of it called the Blue Dolphin, as CNN says, it's a psychoactive drug that produces experience of emotional communion, relatedness, and openness. Some users report having less of an urge to eat, drink, or sleep, contributing to its use as a party drug. The drug is taken orally. Okay, then they just go into this details about what it is. Okay, that's pointless there, CNN, just like most of their reporting. They go on, as they say, Casey Anthony was also videotaped a lot of the times without her consent. She asked Diddy to delete the videos. Sometimes he did, sometimes they didn't, and she described how his staff had access to all the videos as well. Now, why are these videos important? Because they highlight how there's probably extortion being used here. Now, we know a lot of high-profile celebrities were part of these freak-off parties. We know a lot of prominent Democrats were hanging out with Diddy. We're very close to him. LeBron, a major BLM supporter, all the BLM crew, all the Kamala Harris supporters, and the biggest cheerleaders in Hollywood and in the entertainment and music industry. All of those people, I think not coincidentally, were also a part of these Diddy freak-off parties. And then, of course, we have Ashton Kutcher here, who had this very interesting thing to say when asked to, of course, describe some situations at these Diddy freak-off parties. And this is what he had to say. And in hindsight now, listen, we're going to tell you more details about this Casey testimony, which is disgusting. And then this will perfectly highlight what Ashton Kutcher probably is thinking about here.
Diddy party stories, they're our favorite genre of anecdote, if you
really?
have one, yeah.
Wow, okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. So, I can't tell that one either. I mean, I'm like actually cycling through them. Diddy party stories, man. That was like some weird memory lane. Ugh.
Yeah, what was he thinking? Well, Casey was describing how there were multiple disgusting situations where adult stars were paid to have relations with her, but also release their bodily waste onto her without her consent, something that she now says she didn't want to happen. She knew everyone knew it didn't want it to happen, but Diddy and other adult stars that they were paid to be there, some of them that were paid about $6,000 on average per act, per night, were the ones that were releasing their bowels onto her without her consent. As of course, TMZ writes here that Casey said that she also had bowels released on her during freak-offs, but she didn't want to have that happen. It was, quote, disgusting. According to her, it was too much. She was choking for having too much of this waste in her mouth. No one could think I, quote, wanted it, she testified, as Diddy released himself and his fluid and didn't want anyone to do that but him, and then he paid other people to do it, and it still happened, as she recounts multiple events where, of course, she protested, didn't want it to happen, but Diddy made it happen. She was asked point blank why she didn't say not to, have this done to her. She responded, it was obvious I didn't want to be on the ground having waste on me by two other men. Casey Ventura also said that Sean Diddy Combs began recording the freak-offs with their drug-fueled performances pretty early on in the first year of their relationship. She testified that at first they were recorded on a video camera. Later, they were recorded on both his and her electronic devices. She said that she wasn't really there wasn't really a conversation before he began recording. Sean brought out a camera and set it up. She testified. Ventura said she would later delete the videos on her devices, and she saw them because they were humiliating and disgusting. She testified that she frequently asked Combs to delete the videos he had as well, particularly because his staff members had access to the devices. I never wanted anyone to ever see me like that, she said here. Now, there's also, of course, the baby oil saga here, as we are getting reports here that, of course, she was routinely always glistening from the baby oil that she had thrown on her by Diddy. Now, Diddy's private security guard came out and said that some of it was laced. And again, a lot of this is just kind of weird, kind of debaucherous behavior. Does it prove racketeering? Does it prove trafficking? As the attorneys here are explaining that Ventura's testimony about the freak-off is important because it's in multiple states. Now, just because someone's freaky in multiple states, does that mean the prosecution gets to say that it's trafficking because he got it on in New York City and in Miami and in Los Angeles in separate incidences? Are they going to say, oh, he hired local talent, or are they going to say he shipped them in, and therefore, because he paid people to do this, are they going to, of course, now say, no, he's guilty of this? Again, being a perv, being creepy, and doing all this stuff isn't really proof of trafficking and racketeering here. This is going to be very difficult. As even Dr. Phil kind of revealed here, that Diddy could walk free, especially with his defense team, with their opening statements, specifically arguing, hey, these are adults. These are consenting people that participated in this willingly on their own accord. And a lot of them could have said something, could have not shown up, could have not done it, could have protested, but they didn't, because Diddy was a celebrity and everyone wanted to be near the celebrity. Now, the prosecution is going to argue, well, he used his celebrity status in an unfair way, in an unfair advantage. But it's up for a juror of 12 people to say, yeah, he deserves to be in jail for that. I mean, that's what Harvey Weinstein went down for. And when we look at R. Kelly, he also went down for doing very similar kind of waste type of activities as well, but he did it to small children here. Now, so far that I know that there are some people claiming in personal lawsuits against Diddy that they were children at the time of some of these assaults. One of them actually retracted their story, one of the main ones that first came out, and talked about how Jay-Z was there. That story has been officially retracted. Now, has it been retracted because the person was just trying to get famous or a paycheck or get infamous there? There's a probability of that. There's a big probability of that. Bigger. And then, of course, then the other alternative explanation that they potentially got intimidated or paid off in order not to go further with their testimony in the civil lawsuit. A lot of the civil lawsuits are represented by a Texas lawyer, Tony Busby, that a lot of people believe is trying to, of course, make a buck off of this situation. That's the accusations that are being made against him. Other people have different opinions about this lawyer as well here. But it is important to note here that there are some of the personal cases being dropped here. So far, I have not seen the prosecution argue and lay out any charges revolving children. So that's a big important marker here. Yes, we get details about waste. We get details about baby oil. But is that going to be enough here? Is that going to be something that's going to be concrete for a jury to say, yeah, you know what? Jail, 15 years, mandatory minimum for the actions that, of course, he committed. This as 50 Cent, who, by the way, was very prophetic in his trolling of P. Diddy. Is coming out and sharing this image on his Instagram. As he captioned it, quote, Diddy said in ya mouth, LOL. As that's what he posted now. Some would say, maybe not the most nicest of things to post. Maybe not the most sensitive things to post here. But the prosecution, all they have is that he tinkled in someone's mouth. That's it. That's all you got. Where's the children? Where's the trafficking? Where's the politicians? And again, we told you from the beginning that SDNY here is going to have a pretty uphill battle. They have a great record, by the way. Great prosecution record. They gave a plea offer to Diddy before this court proceeding, and Diddy didn't take the plea. He's taking this to court. Witness story went missing. Still no mention of children. Still no mention of high-level kind of other people being potentially involved here. And the testimony of Casey, I mean, she hasn't been, I don't believe she's been questioned by Diddy's lawyers yet, but they're going to be asking questions like, why did you keep showing up? Why were you continuing to be there? And she's going to argue probably that she was intimidated, that Diddy was very violent, was very aggressive, and he had guys with firearms and police officers that he would hire in order to, of course, impose his will on her. Who will the jury believe? Will the jury believe her, or will they believe Diddy, who's coming out here saying, hey, I was just freaky. Being freaky doesn't mean I was racketeering. Being freaky doesn't mean I was trafficking. I was just freaky. I was just a swinger. And that's what his defense is arguing, saying, I was just a perv. Yes, big perv. Yes, weird stuff. Yes, debaucherous stuff. And this is usually what happens with people who have an addiction with adult content. People who were, of course, abused when they were children, which there are multiple stories of Diddy having that being done to Diddy with his mother, who had freak-offs at her home when Diddy was just a small child. Now, I want more here, okay? The defense and prosecution probably is not doing the best of job here. Let's just be honest with ourselves. I want to know what happened to Bieber. He's not doing well right now. What happened to Usher? Let's get some real people here, and there are allegations about children being hurt here. I want more details about that. I want more details about the extortion, the videotapes. I want to know who else is on those videotapes, and of course, the prosecution is being very closely knit They are hiding a lot of the details, hiding a lot of the information. And this usually happens in these types of criminal court proceedings. I will probably bet that a lot of the important information surrounding a lot of the high-profile Democrats will never be ever released, will never ever be documented, and probably there's going to be a lot of information sealed here as well. We're going to be covering this story as it develops all here on youtube.com/wearechange. Subscribe, click the notification button. We got a lot more coming here your way on youtube.com/wearechange.